this connecting rod right in here. If it's broken, this is how you replace one. Remove the screws of the panels. You're going to need top and bottom. There's also going to be one screw down here where you're going to need a 3/8 wrench. Next step, remove the display arm. There's going to be 4 bolts. Only the top 2 you got to fully remove. And while you're at it, you're going to need to unplug these 2 data cables. Make sure the unit does not have any power going to it. Oh. Next, if this is already broken, then we're just going to want to remove the bolts anyways from the fork here. So you're going to need 2 11/16 wrenches in order to do so. You're going to want to take off the nut that has the smaller diameter end over here, and that end is going to allow us to punch through and separate that fork from the connector. Next step, we're going to remove the oil plug. You're going to need a flathead screwdriver. If you have difficulty, you can use vice grips around the bottom of the shaft, anywhere over here. Next step, we're going to remove the 4 bolts over here. So you got 2 on this side, 2 on the other. Just need a flathead. So now we're at the point where we got the bolt side of the gibs off. Now we're left with this plastic slide and this connecting rod. So if you broke off the connecting rod, or the connecting rod broke on this top point, you're gonna need vice grip pliers. We're gonna have to go around this bottom portion. We're gonna have to go counterclockwise, get it out of this gearbox. No. So the next thing we need to do is rotate this aluminum bearing over, and we're going to want to have our new connecting rod ready with with the plastic inserted through the connecting rod. So right now we're rotating this over. We'll take our new connecting rod, slide that just into place, and we can start threading it in. So once you get the threading started, we're going to start rotating it tighter. Now, once you can go by hand to a certain point, but you'll get to a point where your hand can't do any more turns by that. You're going to want to use a long flathead or a long steel rod, and we're just going to want to rotate this clockwise, and you'll meet a point of resistance where right now it's pretty easy to turn quarter turn loosely, but you'll notice when I go over here, I meet right to a resistance point right here. I don't want to go any further past that. So right now we have it at the set depth that we want, and we're going to go ahead and button up the gibs, reinstall the gibs, they're going to be these metal pieces right here, and we'll put those in with the screws, and you can check back once that's done. All right, so we got this one side of the gib on. Now we're waiting to put on this side. Now before you continue to put both ends on, you're going to want to put the oil plug in just so you don't risk dropping any screws into the gearbox. All right, so once both sides are on, you get the oil plug back in for the fill plug. Now you just want to make sure that you have the plastic sliding nice and free underneath the lip of the gib. Next, we're going to be putting the pin back through the connecting rod and to the handlebar fork. And we'll notice that there's a longer threaded end of this pin. We're going to have that side exposed with the nut on the other side, and we're going to be inserting through the larger diameter side of this connecting rod, and we're going to eventually thread the last nut through the smaller diameter hole in the connecting rod here. Okay, we're having one arm on the handlebar assembly with the fork, and we're going to slide this right through. We're going to find that nice midpoint and get this to go right through. Okay, so now all the main assembly has been changed out for this unit. We're now going to go reinstall the control arm here with the display on it. Once again, that's just going to be bolting those 4 bolts back in, slide the frame onto here, bolt those 2 in here, make sure you get the other data cables back plugged in, and then you're going to want to put the top shroud on first. That way you have access to this lower nut down here that goes in, and then just use the Phillips heads to put in the side panels and you're good to go.